In this movie, we're going to be learning how to set up a tab bar controller. Tab bar controllers are used for us to actually display different information in our app in different sections. We can set this up in Xcode just by creating a new project. A project can be a single view app. We'll hit next, and we're going to give our project a name. We're going to call it Rainbow Tabs. Just leave all the settings as that. And then we're going to hit next. Choose a location to save our project. I'm just going to put mine in my downloads folder and hit create. And we're back to a nice blank project. I'm just going to maximize that space so we get to see what we're doing. And then I'm going to move to the storyboard. So just selecting the view in our storyboard, I'm going to go to the background and give it a nice red color. And now I'm going to select the actual controller and I'm going to go up to Editor, and I'm going to go Embed in a tab bar controller. This is very similar to Embed in a navigation controller. And you'll notice straight away that we actually get this tab bar controller and it's got a little icon down the bottom and a new bar. And we see that on both. If I select the one on the red bar, the tab bar, then I can go up here and actually choose a different type of icon. Now, Xcode gives us a number of these icons for free, so we can actually pick some of the more generic-y looking ones that you're probably used to using in some other apps. You're just trying some different ones. I'm just going to put it back to a default one there. Now, I'm going to just give my name to this tab so it will be quite clear. So just selecting it, go to title and type red, and you can see red appears in that box. My next part of the activity is to add another view controller. There's going to be a part of this tab system. So just allow myself some space there, and then from the object library, just drag over a new view controller. So that just goes in nicely. This time I'm going to give it a color of yellow and nice and simple. Now we're going to link our yellow view controller to the tab bar, and we do this by holding the control button and dragging across, and we're going to choose view controller from the drop down list. And immediately you can see that segue is created, the line, and connecting to the yellow. So I'm just going to rearrange my windows a bit here on my controllers, views, and just get that looking nicer. That looks pretty good. Now I'm just going to give a bit more design aesthetic to this, make it look nicer. So first of all, I'm going to give my title yellow here, so that stands out quite clearly. But I'd like to put in some new icons into my tab bar. I've actually got these in Sector, so they're actually, if I'm just going over there now, I'm going to download the zip file to my computer. And then I'm going to unzip that by just opening it and clicking. Now, back in my Xcode project, I need to open the assets folder. And from there, select all the images that I've just downloaded from Sector. I'm just going to go in there and find them. There they are. And then I'm going to click, drag across and drop them into the assets folder. So that looks good. Now, going back to my storyboard, I can now assign those images. So I'm going to click on the red tab bar, and under the option here of selected, I'm going to select R selected, and under just the image, I'm going to put select R. These are the image names. And then I'm going to do the same with yellow. So it's going to pick yellow selected, Y selected, and Y. Now, I think it's time that we tested this out. So I'm going to change to an iPhone 8 and hit run. And here we go. I think that looks really nice. We've got our red and our yellow, and the icons change really, really well. Now what I want to actually do is add some lines to our view controller in our view did load. So this is when the screen comes up. And I'm just going to put in there tab bar item dot badge value. And I'm going to make that equal an exclamation mark. And we're just going to see the effect that that has. So from the storyboard, we don't see anything, but when we run, we actually see that there's now an exclamation mark over the red. So you can see how you can talk to the tab bar. Returning to your storyboard, I want you now to spend some time adding a orange, green and blue view controller and use the icons and naming that we have for the red and yellow. Hit pause now and come back soon. Now, I'm guessing you've probably run your app and you would have noticed that each of the tab bars would have fitted perfectly in the tab bar section. But what happens if we have more than 5 view controllers? So what we're going to do, we're going to add an extra one, and I'm going to give it a weird sort of salmon color. I'm just going to link that up like we have before. And if this is going too quick, just pause the video and add this view controller, just like I have here. And now I'm just going to not really worry too much about having an icon, but I definitely want to give it a name. So I'm just going to pick a random icon here. Yeah, that looks good. And now let's run that and see what happens. Now our app's come up, but one of the things you'll notice is I've got 4 tab bars and then a more button. So I can still access the salmon view controller and the blue one, but I have that more button. So that's looking good. Hopefully yours runs the same. Now I want to add some code to the yellow view controller so that its icon does something just like the red one. To do that, we need its own view controller. And to avoid confusion, I'm going to rename the view controller for the red view. And first, to do that, I'm just going to click on it and right click where it says view controller, go to refactor and choose rename. In here, I can actually add red to the start of view controller. And when I hit rename up the top right, it will actually go through the rest of the app and fix up any naming problems. So you can see now that my view controller is called red view controller. And that all looks good. The thing I need to check too is that the right view controller is linked. Let's add a new file. And we're going to choose Cocoa Touch class. We are going to make sure out of this drop down list it says UI view controller, and we're going to say yellow view controller. Let's hit next, and then we're going to add it to there, and you'll see that yellow view controller has appeared. And the code looks very similar to the red view controller. Now, clicking on our yellow view controller and selecting the documents outline, I can scroll this list of which class it's being used, and I'm going to pick yellow view controller. That's basically linking our file with code in to our view. So now any changes I make here will apply. So now I can say tab bar dot badge value. I might make this equal to 1. Now running our app, we actually see it coming up looking good. And when we click on the yellow view controller, the 1 appears. It doesn't appear until we click on it because we've actually got it in the view did load, and the yellow view controller isn't loaded until we click on it. Okay, so let's do something really neat because we've now developed some skills. We know how to use a navigation view controller, we know how to use segues, and we know how to use a tab view controller. So what about if we actually add another view that is going to be segued from our red view controller and put that in a navigation view controller. So let's drag over our new navigation view. And in our red view controller, we may want to add a button that's going to cause our segue. So I'm just going to drag that in, just dump it pretty much anywhere. That looks good. And then from there, I'm going to control click and drag to the new view controller and select show. So I've created my segue. That looks nice. And then finally, I'm going to choose my red view controller and then go up to editor, choose embed in and navigation controller. And that will plonk through there. And see how it just like self-adjusts, so it looks really, really nice. Now, let's hit the play button and see what happens. So here's our view appearing. If I click my button, it's navigating across like we were expected. And I'm hoping that your app is working the same. You should be seeing now that you have developed enough skills to put together a basic app and probably want to start looking into your own. I'm looking forward to seeing what you make.